All right, hey everyone. I hope y'all had a good New Year's. I'm out here just walking around at the park and got a little cold, so I jumped back in my car. But I just kind of wanted to level with you guys on why I started using my social media to talk about the Bible and God. I was raised in church, never missed a service unless it was an emergency. Got saved when I was 7 years old. Raised in a Christian school until I graduated. Got the Bible day in and day out, learned about God. But that doesn't make you a Christian. Just because you're going to church, just because you're learning about God, that doesn't make you a Christian. It's got to get in your heart. And, even though I was saved at 7, I accepted Jesus. I never established a walk with him, a daily walk with him outside of church and school and all of that. I would read the Bible some, but it was very intimidating and it was very hard to keep it consistently, so it would kind of fall off. But it just leads to a very selfish life, a very self-centered life, and that's how my young adult life was. I lived that way for a while, and eventually life happens and bad things happen, as it does to all of us. You hit rock bottom and you don't really know where to turn. And the only thing I knew to do was to turn to God, to turn to the scriptures, and get back in church a few years ago. And I said, God, I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to be faithful to church. I'm going to be faithful to your word. I'm going to be faithful to prayer. And I'm obviously not perfect, but I decided then and there I was going to give it my all. And I enrolled in some Bible classes through our church. And, the more that I learned about the Bible, the more that I wanted to, the more that I learned about God, the more that I wanted to, the more that I prayed, the more that I laid my burdens on him, the more that I learned about the scriptures, the more that I read and let him speak to me through his word, the more that I wanted to. And I feel like we've got a generation that's just losing that. We've got a very casual Christianity type world that we live in, and I was there, but I read something the other day that said 73% of Gen Z drops off and loses their faith whenever they become an adult, because they don't know why they believe what they believe. And I think it's super important. There's a transition phase. When you become an adult, you go from, oh, I believe this because my parents taught me this, or I was taught this growing up, to I believe this because this is what I believe. And I got to that point. I had to get to that point. And I had to study out the scriptures, study out, pray, talk to God, study out the evidences for myself. And, it's been life changing. It's been life altering. And I want to be there to help others that are maybe at that same point, that are not really sure what they believe as a Christian, or maybe tempted to fall away from their faith to something else, or someone who's lost, doesn't know Jesus. Guys, there's one truth out there. There's one truth. There's a truth out there of how this world began, of where we all came from, and there's a truth of an afterlife, where we go, and it all points to Jesus. It all points to Jesus. And I'm here to answer questions. That's why I started this. I did not start this to sit here and listen to myself talk, because I'm going to tell you, I have the most annoying voice of all time. But I started this to prompt people to ask questions. If you are doubting something, if you have a question about the scriptures, if you have a question about God, I don't know everything. I'm not a theologian, but I just want to offer the knowledge that I have to help someone out, maybe pull somebody out of a place that you might be, where you're thinking about leaving the faith, and leaving God. I just want to encourage you not to do that. And so that's what I have on my heart. And guys, listen, I want to help. So reach out if you have questions. Reach out if you want me to talk about a specific topic. You want me to study out something. If I know it, great. If I don't, I love studying, so I'll study it out and help the best that I can. So sorry for the long video, but that's what I have on my heart today. Hope y'all have a good weekend.